My name is Patricia Plackett, and I am a member of the Suzuki Elders. We work with the David Suzuki Foundation to support other elders and younger people on environmental actions. We are very pleased to have an opportunity to contribute to this session today and would like to gratefully acknowledge that we are making our presentation from the ancestral and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples in Vancouver.
I'm Erlene Woolard, and I'm also a member of the Suzuki Elders. I will briefly outline the work with young people. A call to youth, building our future across generations, is focused on intergenerational dialogue towards finding climate action solutions and preventing future climate change impacts. We convened 5 focus groups involving a wide range of youth, both teens and young adults, reflecting on climate action, climate justice in the spring of 2021 using Zoom. We approached the issue as an intergenerational opportunity. We included those who were already activists and also those who wanted an opportunity to learn ways to speak up and join in. We involved the generations in interactive learning and sharing. We had sessions facilitated by UBC medical students, UBC Climate Hub students, and international business students. After the sessions, we invited the youth to express themselves in creative ways to capture intense emotions, thoughts, and solutions for our report for this consultation and beyond. You will shortly experience moving examples of this. All of our findings are being summarized in a full report.
I will speak now very briefly about what we learned during the 5 sessions from the young people who participated. 4 themes emerged. First, they wanted to be meaningfully engaged in the planning and implementation processes for climate actions. Second, they wanted to see climate justice for all, especially those disproportionately affected by the adverse impacts of the climate crisis. Third, they wanted honest and evidence-based information about the health impacts of climate change and also about healthier options. And finally, they wanted the effective design, implementation, and monitoring of policies that would dramatically reduce pollution and would successfully create just transitions for workers. Now, 4 young participants from these sessions will tell you in their own way what they wish to pass on to the UN's Special Rapporteur for Human Rights and the Environment.
Hello, I'm Noah Oliver Pang. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Vancouver, BC, Canada. I have grown up with the climate crisis. For most of my life, I've known the basic science of climate change, its causes, impacts, and some possible solutions, yet I have seen our situation worsen without enough hope for it to get better. I've written a poem about some of my experiences, thoughts, and opinions on the topic, which I will share with you now. When our lives are lost and the world on fire, will we see what some right now do not? When the seas are high and the lake beds dry, will we think of what our choices brought? When our plants decay and the islands fade, will we think of those we thought of not, or wish we stopped as we have not? Our forests burn, our seas all rise, all those precious now lost lives. We've known for long what dangers hide, yet those in power stood aside. In future, when we all look back, will we see this problem past? Will our world be blue and green, or will it just be smoke and ash? In present, we must choose our path to life and love or greed and cash. We must change ways and make amends for what we've taken from our land. Our children must get what we have, not a world that's burnt and bland. We must take care of what we have to fight for our lives, sea and land. What I ask for is hope, that our world will not end in one that is burnt and bland, and a path towards a better future. One where I and others my age have the power to contribute to solutions, and one that knows that the climate crisis can and will be solved. Thank you. Bye.
My name is Arista Marthman. I'm 18, and what climate inaction means to me is that I'm worried about having kids. I don't want to bring children into a world that my generation and the generations before me are destroying, and I don't want them to be threatened by forest fires. And I don't want them to be unable to go outdoors in the summertime due to the insane heat that we've been experiencing. And while I want to have kids, I would rather not have them than force them to live in a world that's dying. And I know that other women feel the same way because I've talked to them. And David Boyd, what I need from you is I need you to represent us to people who can make decisive climate action happen, because we want to make this decision without fear.
Hello and welcome to my climate change story. I recently got resettled to Canada, Vancouver. Prior to that, I was living in a refugee camp for 13 years. I came to Canada alone as a teenager at the age of 18. Because I was living in a refugee camp, I did not have the chance or the capacity to learn about climate change and its impact on my physical, mental, spiritual health, and well-being. When I arrived in Canada, I did not receive any orientation regarding the climate change emergency and ways to mitigate it through day-to-day practices such as sustainability and household waste management. I first learned about climate change at the age of 19 when I took a One Health and Planetary Health class at the university. In this class, I learned about the effects of climate change on generations to come and other contemporary environmental disasters that we're experiencing that can be attributed to climate change. This class also made me reflect on my past experiences in the refugee camp. I reflected on the constant droughts that we're experiencing in the refugee camp, food insecurity due to harsh weather and heat waves, rising children malnutrition and declining mental and physical well-being, rising asthma attacks due to dry environments and dust. Is this an environment that you would want your children to grow up in? Because if you do not take action now, the rest of the world will end up in this situation. I also reflected on the flood that I once witnessed, and I asked myself, was that a rise in sea levels? A flood that left thousands of people homeless and internally displaced. A flood that gave rise to infectious diseases for people living in emergency shelters. A flood that engulfed houses, crops, animals, arable land, soil, and peace. Is this an environment that you want your children to grow up in? Because if action is not taken now, the rest of the world will end up in this situation. These are a few action items that can be taken in order to save the planet and the environment. Implementing non-partisan policies on climate action for refugees and immigrants, and also a greater public education about a just society for all. Take climate action today. Your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren will thank you. Set a great precedent in environmental justice for the generation ahead of you to follow. Thank you.
David Boyd. Before I head into who I am or my story, I want to share the last two stanzas of a poem I wrote about the climate crisis. I will try to keep you in the palm of my hand and protect you from the humans who have done everything to harm you and nothing to help you. It is the hands before mine that have inflicted pain, made humanity inhumane and animals unanimalistic. But through it all, I will keep you in the palm of my hand, and I hope my hands will not become sore from carrying you, and hope that my hands will not be alone in carrying you. But one day I hope that you will not need to be carried anymore. My name is Naisha Khan. I'm an 18-year-old climate justice organizer with the group Sustainability Teens as a central organizer. We aim to provide youth the agency to take action in the Lower Mainland. I'm also a co-founder of Banking with a Better Future, which is a national campaign to call on the big five banks of Canada to divest from fossil fuels. I've been doing this work since I was 16 years old. And through it all, I have worked tirelessly to promote the message that youth feel an intense need of urgency to fight the climate crisis. We demand strong, tangible climate policy from governing bodies that address how urgent this crisis is. We need to unite and work together to fight this catastrophe, especially for the marginalized folk who not only suffer from a crisis of climate, but a crisis of equity too. David Boyd, I urge you to utilize your powers as a rapporteur help me and other youth protect the planet. Make it more than just another avenue for economic growth, but a safe, habitable planet for all. Thank you.
Heard were harvested from a wide range of youth and elders in conversation over several months. The power of the themes noted has been amplified by the creativity of those youth you have just experienced. They are strong expressions of urgency and hope that those in power will listen and will engage in dialogue and action to build a better world than the world to which we seem to be drifting. Remember, it is their world from which we are borrowing, and we need to pass it on in much better shape than it is now. While working on this, I had a visit from my teenage granddaughter. In a very few minutes, she put together the graphic expression with which we will close this segment. Watch and think about the unheard voice. Hear it and act.